Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's Last Post ceremony. My name is Robert Adams, and joining us today from the Royal Australian Air Force is Squadron Leader Ian Jackson. We warmly welcome the family of Corporal Hugh Mercer, whose story will be told shortly. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. The live stream of this ceremony is made possible by the Returned and Services League of Australia and the RSL and Services Clubs Association. We welcome members who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection by family and visitors to the memorial. If you are able, please stand and join in singing the national anthem. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight we'll read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 103,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection.
Today, we remember and pay tribute to Corporal Hugh Mercer. Hugh Mercer was born on the 16th of March, 1890 in Ipswich, Queensland, the younger of two sons born to blacksmith John Mercer and his wife, Mary Ann. Hugh received his education at the local state school, where he was also an active member of their cadets program. He later found employment as a locomotive engine driver with Ipswich Railways. Hugh Mercer enlisted in the Australian Imperial Force on the 27th of January 1916. He was assigned to C Company of the 3rd Pioneer Battalion, a unit comprised of men who were trained as both engineers and infantrymen. He undertook a short period of training before being sent to Melbourne to embark for overseas service. Before leaving, he was farewelled by the Ipswich community at a small party where he was presented with a pocket knife, a letter wallet, and a silver pencil case. He embarked for active service from Melbourne later that year, travelling on board the troopship Wandilla. Private Mercer arrived in England on the 26th of July 1916 and continued his training. In November, he was promoted to corporal before embarking for the Western Front just a few days later. His unit was sent to the Franco-Belgian border, settling into billets around the French village of Armentières. Mercer experienced his first gas attack less than a week after arriving. 8 days later, the enemy began bombarding his unit's location, with 3 shells landing perilously close to battalion headquarters. The following day, Mercer's unit came under fire from enemy aircraft flying over Armentières, before the men were ordered into the cellars of their billets in anticipation of another attack. Corporal Mercer and his comrades spent an uncomfortable night in the cold, dark cellars before being allowed to return to their billets in the morning. Over the following days, Mercer's unit was engaged in a variety of maintenance tasks taking place both in and behind the lines. The men spent their days undertaking routine trench maintenance, repairing duckboards, tram lines, and constructing dugouts. Though located in a relatively quiet sector of the front, Mercer and his comrades worked under constant threat of enemy fire and gas attacks. On the 16th of December 1916, Mercer was sent out into the front lines as part of a working party when the enemy began shelling his position. Mercer was among 4 men who were hit by shrapnel during the barrage. Badly wounded, he was evacuated to a nearby casualty clearing station where he was operated on to remove shrapnel from his chest. Despite taking immediate action, the surgeons entertained little hope of Mercer recovering. He remained at the casualty clearing station until the 22nd of December, when he succumbed to his wounds and died. He was later buried by his comrades nearby at the Trois Arbres Military Cemetery. Mercer's family paid tribute to him in a poem published in the Queensland Times, which read, "Sleep on, dear son, in a soldier's grave. Your life for your country you nobly gave. We were not with you to say goodbye, but safe in God's keeping now you lie." Hugh Mercer was 26 years old. His name is listed on the Roll of Honour on my right among almost 62,000 Australians who died while serving in the First World War. His photograph is displayed today beside the pool of reflection. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Corporal Hugh Mercer, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in a hope of a better world.
If you are able, please stand for the reading of the Ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozières or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. On behalf of the Director, staff and volunteers, thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial today and for your continued support of the Memorial's development project. We wish you all a very pleasant evening.